So I just kind of came in the garage and started working, but since I was doing the rear brakes, I already had, all the brake stuff off. So I just pulled the hub off, started disconnecting stuff, pulled the axle out. As you can see, there's axle grease everywhere from when I exploded the axle. I figured it'd just be easier to pull the hub off and clean everything. But I'm dropping the transmission. I'm gonna change the converter. So yeah, I'm not gonna do like a full converter how-to for a C6. If you want that, I have PDFs on a whole walkthrough on how to do converters on C6. But yeah, there might be a track rental next week. What's today? Today's Tuesday. No, today's Wednesday. Like the 20th or something. Yeah, it's Wednesday the 20th of October. So next week, I think there might be a rental. I'm gonna try to get this to go to. I'm just tired of it sitting in my garage. So yeah, we're gonna see what the Corvette can do. Never been raced, never been driven in rain, never beat on, pristine car. I don't know what all that is. That's not rubber. Never been raced at all. Never once been raced. There's probably like 4 pounds of rubber just in my wheel well. Maybe I can go faster if I scrape all that off. Well, I got a bunch of the rubber off. That's wet right now, so that's not rubber, but a couple years worth of burnout rubber. There's still some on here I need to get off, but that's most of it. Well, we got the other side off. Now all I gotta do is just unbolt the 4 bolts for the cradle, and the cradle will come out, and then we can pull the transmission. And this ball joint is destroyed, so that's cool. Need a new ball joint now. Always like, when you're doing stuff to make the car go faster and find stuff that's wrong that doesn't make it go faster. So more money to spend, yay. The rubber from the driver's side wheel well, and there's still some in there. Yeah, it's a solid amount of rubber. Well, all you gotta do is take the cradle mounts out, or cradle bolts out. I already got them broke loose, and then it's ready to come out. But for you guys that have never worked on a Corvette, if you have a Corvette, these bolts on the cradle, and the same with like the engine cradle too. Right, there you go, my bad. These don't just go them off, because you can rip them off the frame. So always break these loose with a breaker bar. Don't just go them. That's about it. But I already got all the transmission mount bolts off. I broke all the cradle bolts loose. Just gonna raise the jack, hold the transmission, and drop the cradle. And the cradle's out. Well, I just got lower, but it's completely loose. On the Corvette, make sure you disconnect the ground that's up here, right here. Make sure like all these lines and stuff, all your brake lines, there's 2 10mm that hold them on, and then you can just drop it. Taking the converter bolts out now. So I do is just, throw it up on here. I like to do it so this one's moving right. So you're not gonna loosen these bolts. You're just gonna tighten them. Well, they're not gonna do anything while you're turning it, but you don't have a chance of loosening it. And now we can take that bolt out. That brutal speed and tuning 6L80 differential brace. Link is in the description. And it's out. Time to pull the converter. I gotta get the other converter out the trailer and then toss it back in. There it is. Go grab the old converter, pull this one off, fill the old one up, slap it in, and get the car ready for the track. That brutal speed and tuning, 6L80 brace. It's been on the car for about 4 years. A bunch of 1/360 foots, a couple 1/2s that destroyed the axle, but haven't broke the diff, haven't broken the transmission. It's pretty solid. Gonna clean the cradle off some, and then put it back in the car. We got Old Faithful out. About to fill this thing back up with fluid and pull that one off and slap this one back on. And then send that one off to Circle D. I've already talked to him. We got some things in mind about a new converter we're gonna try, so tune in. Got the good old Faithful back in there. Made a little bit of mess. I kind of overfilled the converter, so it poured everywhere when I put it on. But old one's out, new one's on. Gonna slide it up in the car and yep, then we're done. So I just slapped this together real quick. I pulled the transmission out with a 2x4. So I got a 2x8 and then screwed this in so it supports the diff. Got another one under here. That way, raising this, it's even and actually has the weight distributed. When I pulled it yesterday, I had a 2x4 like here. So this whole thing, I had to like balance it with my hand and ended up using 2 jack stands. So this will actually help raise and lower it a lot better. Got her under the car, got it nice and balanced. It's only being held by the actual jack, not like laying on the jack. So about to put it up and connect it. I've just been under here cleaning stuff. There's a bunch of axle grease from my broke some axles and stuff. So I've been under here for like the last 30 minutes just cleaning parts of the car before I threw this up in there. Going on in. That brace though. It's all in and bolted up and tight. Just gonna throw the torque converter bolts in now. Pro tip, if you've never done a torque converter. So you have to measure the spacing between the flex plate and torque converter. Best way to measure it is see what it calls for and get 2 drill bits that are that size. So this is the minimum, stick this in there and it should be tight. If this is the maximum, if you stick it in there and you still have room, you need to do the shims. So glad I actually checked. You can see it actually had to be shimmed. So this transmission, it's a different one than this converter originally was on with that combo. And the old transmission in this converter didn't need to be shimmed, but this transmission and this converter need to be shimmed. Also, for those of you who have never done a converter, don't just go tighten the bolt down as you put it in, because you're not going to get it in the other bolts. So, get the bolt started, and then get rest of them in, and then tighten down. I made that mistake once. Got it tightened down, torqued it, spun it over, and I was like, crap, I can't get the bolts in, so I had to spin it all the way back to undo the bolt. So I got the shim in there. I'll show you. 1/8 inch drill bit. And it fits between the shim and the converter pad now. And you don't want any bigger than this. 3/16. It's hard to do with the camera.
This doesn't fit at all now. Before, this would fit in there and move around a little bit. And of course, the 1/8 would fit a lot in there. So I just threw a little shim in there. It's a little under an 1/8 inch. I didn't actually measure it. I just made sure that the measurements are right with the shims, because I have a couple different size shims. So I used the one that made it fit right. But we're good to go now. So if you guys have never done your diff fluid, you fill it here, drain it here. So we're gonna go ahead and top it off, and then and it takes a 10 millimeter Allen. And get this off real quick. It's not gonna focus. Whatever. Takes a 10 millimeter Allen. Slide in the cradle back up under it and bolt it up. Got the jack stand with some wood holding the transmission up so we can use the jack to do the cradle. And we done. Got the track exhaust ready. I forgot that I have, you know, the old style kooks. This is for the old style headers. This is for the new style. They didn't actually like fit together good, so I had to force them together. So I broke a hammer, split a 2x4 in half, trying to separate them. Now I remember why I want to get a custom exhaust made. But yeah, we're just gonna run the 3-inch dumps off. We're not gonna run the back mid pipe, no mufflers, so drop a little weight off the car. Got the exhaust on. Should be a little bit louder, a little bit lighter. Should help us run a little quicker, hopefully. We'll see how it goes tomorrow. Got the car all done. Like I said, this isn't going to be a how-to video. If you have questions on how to do it, the converter install or brakes on your Corvette, I can give you tips. But I'm not doing a how-to video on how to do brakes or put a torque converter in, because I'm sure it's already done and there's several write-ups on it. And I have a PDF I could send you if you really need help, like a step-by-step. This is how you do a converter on a Corvette. But the car's done. Track day tomorrow. We'll see how it does. So the weather's not going to agree today for a track day, so yeah, it got canceled and moved, so there won't be any racing in this video now. But thanks for watching.